Hello and welcome to the Carbitrage Podcast, episode 222. That's all twos. I am Erik Berger, joined as always by my co-host Ryan Sinitsky. Hello, sir.
Hey, I've got two thumbs.
You do.
Hi there, viewer
are
and
you-
listener.
You're actually correct.
Just one
this
for
time.
one?
Mhm,
Yeah.
one for one.
We're recording on a weird day, so.
We are. It's a Friday evening, and it's about 10 degrees warmer than it was supposed to have gotten today. So we're
That's
right
like
back to the...
Jana's in her workout attire.
Yeah, I would highly suggest the video version
Yeah.
of the podcast. Get
I'm
us some
not
extra
wearing
clicks
clothes, so.
this week.
So, anyway.
Heading on to patreon.com/carbitrage. On this customized website, you will find two open-ended levels of support that you, the content consumer, can funnel to us, the content producer. You'll also get some neato swag like the Carbitrage Podcast or Prodcast coveted koozie, a shirt if you would like it at the higher level, and possibly some future crap in the future. But either way, you get added to the Discord, which is pretty hopping and mint. Patreon.com/carbitrage.
Yeah, there are several cat photos that are incoming.
Ooh, enticing.
I do
So-
like that.
But
It's
you
hard
will
to
only
deny.
you will only be able to see
Yeah.
it if you're a patron.
That's correct. Or just a good friend that just like browbeats me until I inevitably let you in. Next up, beer. What have you get?
I am drinking. Which of the pilsners did I select?
I'm
I
making
got
you
the
check first because I know I have
Steel
the same one.
Toe. I got the Steel Toe.
Steel Toe
Pilsner. It's
Pilsner.
actually a really good pilsner. I love Steel Toe. They used to be next to my house, and now they're not.
They had a beer called Provider, correct?
Yes.
I think a
Size
family
7
member.
provider.
Oh, yeah,
Because they're
yeah.
all boot names.
I see.
It's all boot related.
I think that was an IPA because I don't like it and everyone else in my family did.
Yeah, that's weird.
All right. Well, be that as it may, we've established that we are here. Jana, hello.
Hello,
It has
I'm
been
back.
at least a partial minute since we've last seen you, so welcome.
Yeah, I'm allergic to the heat, so I can't really be out in this too much.
Oh.
She literally
break
gets
out
like
in
heat
hives.
rashes.
Well,
and
yeah, but
stuff,
it's a billion degrees and you're here, so.
Yeah, that's why she's in her workout attire.
Okay.
I'm wearing a crop top by definition only.
That's a glorified bra.
Patagonia shorts. So
Because outdoorsy.
yeah.
I saw a lot of Patagonia on the mountain.
Would you feel cooler if I told you I was a fan?
Of Patagonia?
Just in general.
Okay.
I'm not really a fan of anything. I lied.
Not a fan. Oh,
Anyway,
you're like
that
you're
voice
like,
you just heard was Mike Gatsch of Mike Gatsch Photography. What a perfect segue. The man that is not a fan of anything. He is another one of the local, well, actually, not always local. In fact,
Not
seldom
really.
local. I take
wander.
that back.
Hey, I've been here a lot.
You
okay?
have. But he is a car
Intermittently
photographer,
local.
intermittently local, sort of nomadic.
You might want to turn down his mic a little bit. I'm just watching.
It's
flip.
already down quite a bit, but I will work on it.
You'll get it where it needs to
You
be.
project so well.
Yes,
Eh.
you do.
I'll work
So
on
anyway,
it.
carry on.
You'll
No,
get
I'm
it.
tweaking the microphone.
He's intermittently local.
Yeah.
He is. So you're actually based out of Indiana, correct?
As much as I deign to admit such things, yes, that is where home is. Big old air quotes on that one.
I was trying to trick you into saying
Pawnee.
that you were from
He's
Indiana.
he's part of that area of Pawnee that
Comes with many caveats.
He's part of that area
Caveats.
of Pawnee that's like completely overrun with raccoons that they can't go into.
Oh, right.
like 30 minutes from Gary.
East
That's-
Pawnee. Yeah.
That's just a meaningless name for me.
Oh,
I've been
so
to Indianapolis, but
Gary is pretty much Chicago.
Yeah.
oh,
it-
okay.
There's
People
like,
from my little pretentious town like to say, "I'm from Chicago," when they're not.
That's-
But I mean, it helps people like far away understand where you're from. But like when you're still in Indiana and telling people you're from Chicago,
Do you have a
it's
Jewel Osco there?
yes,
probably
they
close?
probably
We have
do.
all the major shopping.
Yeah, but
centers.
that's very much in Illinois.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true.
where he's from is like Apple Valley to Minneapolis. That's it's like a fourth ring quasi suburb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's like
pretty-
a commuter town where
Yeah.
you're like too far to reasonably commute, but you do anyways because there's no real opportunities.
There's
where
no
you're from.
S in anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, just like Apple Valley, nothing actually exists in Apple Valley other than chains.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
a suburb of Buffalo, Minneapolis.
Well, we got an ice skating rink now in the winter, which
Wow.
they didn't like me taking photos.
You guys
there.
are really?
Yeah. I got like chased out by the skate guards. They're like lifeguards, but for an ice skating rink.
Actually, it's more of like a Rosemount.
it was
Come to think of
interesting.
it.
Yeah, didn't you get
skate guard.
stuck at a Volkswagen shop that somebody got murdered at in Gary, Indiana?
No, that's South Chicago,
Okay.
and they weren't murdered when
It's
I
right
was
up your
there.
alley.
But the bench did have blood stains on it, and there's several holes in the wall.
That's a
behind me.
feature.
It's a feature. Yeah.
I mean, that's just you see your Volkswagen repair bill and you get angry, and if
However-
you're carrying,
Yeah.
to be entirely fair, $75 for a full welded straight pipe exhaust on a Honda is not bad.
I remember when you got that exhaust,
Yeah,
and then
it
you
was
came
great. It
back
was
up.
very
I'm just
loud.
like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, $75. It sounded great for $75. It was like, even by those standards, like high school standards, $75 was very cheap because at that point in time, a full welded,
That was affordable.
a full welded exhaust, I think it's like $160 back then.
More than that, I think. I was going to Tim's obviously at the
But I
time,
mean,
which
for
was
like
like
a
the
cheap
Cadillac,
one. Yeah,
right?
for like a cheap one is like $160.
Mhm.
But like for $75 for like it was TIG welded and it used stainless steel, not mild. Like it was very nice exhaust. It was yeah, they did a good job.
I just remember the twin loop muffler.
Thanks,
Yes.
Nikki.
And then no, I had that added on after the fact.
Oh, really?
'Cause, yeah, it was really loud.
Oh, it was literally straight piped.
It was much louder.
You drove it from
That
Chicago to the Twin Cities with
Actually,
the muffler?
it wasn't that loud in the car, but it was outside the car. It was very loud.
Okay.
In the car, it was surprisingly quiet because all the sound was behind
It
me.
was something you
beyond the
inflicted
bumper.
on everyone in the area, not
Yeah.
so much
Yeah,
yourself.
but screw those people.
Yeah, well, it's
Doesn't-
Wisconsin.
doesn't
it's
matter.
Not, it's not my problem. It's
They're not.
Wisconsin's.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, I couldn't drink, so I didn't care if I was upsetting the new Glarus cows.
That's fair. I think they're south of the highway anyway. You're
Yeah,
probably
but
okay.
I would have felt that now because I like new Glarus.
Well, yeah,
beer.
because
I don't
cows,
wanna
as
upset
you've
their
told,
cows.
well, that too, but you also like cows.
I love cows. Cows are one
Sorry,
of my.
love cows.
They are my fourth favorite animal. It is raccoons, and then possums, capybaras, and then cows.
That is a
Okay,
very peculiar
interesting.
list.
Very, very domestic, except for the capybara.
I know what I like.
I know what I
My
like.
favorite animals are cat, and then there we go.
Cat's up there.
Anyway, Mike, so we briefly kind of let in. So you are Mike. Your name is Mike. You do the photographies.
These are all true, yes.
Part of the standard guest topic questions that I'm going to ask you, there's also a who are you? And I'm not asking for your name, nor what you necessarily do, but like you showed up in a Mark IV
Yeah.
with a vape.
Yeah.
So let's start there.
Okay.
Well, his hat.
I should
brim
feel
is
attacked.
curved.
I
But
put you on the spot.
I
You have
don't.
to deal with it now.
His
Yeah,
hat
well,
brim is
I am an
curved,
unfortunate
which is weird.
purveyor of Mark IV Volkswagens for reasons quite opposite most of the group. I have a TDI for fuel economy. It is not slammed or modified in any way other than the Subaru wheels that my friend hole sawed the centers out of to put on there to give me
Nice.
a free set of Blizzak WS80s.
that you're
So-
driving in summer.
Yes, it's been 2 years now I've driven them through the summer, and they're still plenty of
WS80 is known for being a pretty soft winter tire as well.
It was really nice when I went down to the Tail of the Dragon this year to shoot Wookiees in the Woods. I was asked what the hell was wrong with me after I did a run with someone following me in a Mark IV R32.
Was that because of the rate at which you took the tail of the dragon, or was it the fact that you were on WS80s?
Or
the,
the
the
chunks of
speed and
tire.
everything along with that, apparently.
Ah.
It didn't so much have body rolls. One side just kind of like lifted up on you.
Oh,
To be
okay.
fair, actually, old street racing trick was if you couldn't afford
Yeah, winter
street
tires.
radios.
Cheater slicks? Yeah.
Yeah, you could.
They held
old-
very well on
Yeah.
the Dragon and Hellbender, which is actually I prefer over
No, it
the,
makes
the
sense.
tail.
They're
I don't know
just-
if you've been out there.
I have not. Well, I've driven through it
That's
many
in
times,
Georgia, right?
but it's been in the middle of the night.
Tennessee and North Carolina.
Not been there.
Okay, it's a good time though. But
Is
when
there
I
in
go
North
for Wookiees,
Carolina?
The tail-
The Tennessee border of North Carolina.
yeah, it's like right on the border. So when you go down the tail, like right as you're coming off of it, basically, you cross into the border for North Carolina, and I think Fontana Village, where I stay every year, is technically in North Carolina. It's hard to keep track of. You're just kind of like flying around all those roads, and
Yeah, there's a green sign that has a word on it, and then I just stay there.
yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So Tail of the Dragon, that's actually, I've been, a friend of mine down in Texas who I met up at Pikes Peak is trying to get me to go to I think it's a Dust Ball sub-rally that does the tail and then like a 1,250-mile loop.
Oh, that'd be cool.
It
Yeah.
would be, but it's also a 1,000+ mile drive there and back when you're done. And I just got done with driving
No.
the other wrong way in the country, which kind of left a sour
I
taste.
feel
in my
that. I'm
mouth.
about to drive 1,600 miles in a vehicle that hasn't gone anywhere since the 90s. So
Oh, the
get that
van
old Catholic sign of the cross, you know.
that you're talking about your van again,
Mhm.
correct? Okay, well tell me about that.
Well, before we do that, I like that you own your TDI for the same reason I owned my CRX, because you wanted the most fun way to have 40 miles per gallon.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was able to get to
It's very
Seattle
similar,
for
yeah.
under $200 from Indiana,
Perfect, yeah.
where I can actually make money because there's a market for my skills.
Until I needed to be in the cities. regularly. I loved having a CRX.
And then it was a liability because you never knew when it was going to not be there.
I didn't know if I was going to be walking home. Yes, I
You know
could
how
not.
many times I had to carry that engine computer in my purse?
The engine computer was never like fastened. It was
I've heard of
always,
the
If you didn't bring your own ECU, you ain't leaving with this.
seriously.
the detachable Alpine faceplate. No. You got nothing on a Honda ECU.
We bring
Honda
the
people, no. Well, that's why Honda people always have like a deep corn, like Nardi steering wheel, so they can throw their ECU into their steering wheel, and the steering wheel turns into a basket.
Well, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's really
You
convenient.
just need a
yeah.
bag
Yeah.
big enough for both.
My
a whole
backpack.
culture of fear.
It
Yeah, my
seriously is.
backpack. It's a nice Puma backpack.
I
And
appreciate
it
that.
like buttons like the two handles on the top, so I would put the steering wheel there, and then in the laptop pocket I would put the ECU.
Okay.
So
I'm
you've
glad the car's
reminded
gone
me.
now, because otherwise you'd be giving away your secrets.
No,
Yeah.
the car's gone now.
That's why I'm telling you.
This is no longer the procedure. So you reminded me actually of a shoot that I wanted to do like years back and completely forgot about. Like every city has that same like fear as like a classic Honda owner. You feel like it's just not going to be there when you get back out. And I wanted to take and do like mini sandbags around a sunroof on an old Honda,
Yeah.
and then like a 50 cal reproduction on it. And I want that shot because that's what it feels like to
That's
be a
very
classic
accurate.
Honda owner.
It-
You just
it's-
don't
It
do
is, it is pure fear. I remember distinctly going to Foss 79, which is on Eat Street in Minneapolis, a relatively nice neighborhood, and still we wouldn't go there if there's 2 parking spots I could put the car in, where there was a window that I could see from. And once, while we were eating there was somebody messing with my car. And that was in like a nice part of town.
You can always tell the 90s Honda owner at a party because they're not having a good time because
No.
they're thinking about their car.
No, it's the most stressful car ownership. It is more. It is
It's more stressful than taking the Mercy to a restaurant.
no. Honestly, I feel more comfortable driving Jana's Buick cross country than I do driving the CRX anywhere.
So I'm
with
about
how
to
many
have a
fuel filters?
similar experience with Vanagons.
Yeah, so
Because I'm
you're-
going
you're-
out to the Pacific Northwest in one of the most stolen vehicles out there.
Did you want?
There's an app for that apparently.
Oh.
Find my van.
Also, if you need
I actually have a route for
Or
you.
van gone, something like
No,
that.
I actually have a route that I made when I worked at Good Karma for people that were always taking their Vanagons like on road trips.
Yeah.
There's a route through South Dakota and Montana that you can take, so you're no further than 500 miles away from a shop that will work on a Vanagon.
Nice. Well, I don't
So
have any
I'm-
money, so that's irrelevant.
Okay, so
I have to make new friends when I break down.
What I was gonna say, what I would do is I'd have my customers when they were adamant about going out of town, and I'm like, I don't feel comfortable. I'd actually schedule appointments for them ahead of time
check
at these
up on
shops.
You can cancel them if you need, but you're gonna need them.
Yeah, I'm like, cancel them, but I would recommend at least going for an inspection every like 500 miles, and like it's worth the $100 to do that because like
much to do on that
I had a person that actually made that road trip, and they made it through most of their stops, but when they stopped in Cote d'Or, Idaho,
Coeur d'Alene.
yeah, they actually had an issue, and their wheel bearing had like the grease had come out of it.
Just left.
Like,
you know
just
what?
left.
I'm out of here.
Like the like the seal on the
Yeah.
back end of it had come loose somehow.
Ah,
Vanagon stuff, weird dumb Vanagon
It's
stuff.
German magic.
Yeah,
It's-
German magic. And yeah, they would not have made it to Seattle without that wheel bearing locking up if they had not gotten that repacked. So it actually worked out. Like I actually
And
had somebody.
didn't Helen just take a similar route?
Yeah, Helen took her dad's Eurovan, but like luckily you can do it with Bosch shops. Is if you go to a Bosch shop, like you can just like call up any Bosch service center and they'll work on them.
Yeah.
So
And
but
he
yeah,
ended up calling a few times, being like,
They
"Do
only-
we know somebody
they
there?"
only had 2 issues.
Yeah.
Like yeah,
they
she got
only
lucky.
had 2 issues driving
Her-
halfway across the country.
Well,
So,
her,
yeah.
her dad,
pretty good.
her dad put like $30,000 into this van immediately before the road trip, and this still had 2 issues. So that's Eurovans.
So I started my career driving in a '73 Volkswagen Beetle that I just kind of
That's
hopped in and drove
much
across the
better.
country all the time. Didn't really work, but it's so simple. It's air cool. I'd lost 2 cylinders coming back from Effingham, Illinois, and just kept driving on 2 cylinders and made it home.
that
yeah,
must not have
the
been
van
fast.
again-
I
It's
couldn't
not
pass
like that.
18-wheelers. It wasn't a thing. And my
The-
girlfriend at the time, we had a talk about how we were not to pass 18-wheelers. She would do that anyways.
Ah,
So
you just said anyways too, so that's not good.
I would say that the Vanagon's not like that, because the Vanagon is similarly reliable but much more temperamental about what it requires to run.
Oh yeah,
I'm routinely shocked when I see those things on interstates. I'm like, no, you should just
it's a rolling
turn
guardrail.
around.
I'm getting a CB, and that's going to be my call sign as I'm driving down the road, apologizing to everyone profusely. I am so fucking sorry. I'm sorry, it has 48 horsepower. I need decals on my window that say, please, thank you, and I'm sorry. Like,
This is
please
as
let me
fast as she
over.
goes.
Thank
your
you so
CB
much.
handle's going to be, sorry, 48 horsepower.
One of my
It's rough.
favorite
That's
memories was
48
hearing
HP. Oh my god,
a
you can make that vanity plate.
Volkswagen bus driving on the
Type
bridge.
2.
Yeah, Type 2 that was driving over the bridge on the Mississippi on my way to Maple Grove to Map. And I had my windows down because I was in the Accord, and I heard and I was like laughing so hard because the engine was working its hardest, and the sound
Just
was
doing a
bouncing
good
off
He was
job.
the
in fourth
bridge.
gear going like 80.
Oh no.
Going
Yeah.
uphill 80 and a Type 2, which
was
is like terrifying.
amazing.
Yeah.
It was the most beautiful sound. I was crying, laughing. I made eye
Just a
contact.
clatter of.
Well, and I was in.
It
was in my
it sounds like a 356 at Le Mans.
Yeah.
Like,
And I was in my 80s Accord,
Screaming.
struggling similarly.
Little did you know it's a
And I
4-cam.
was just,
yeah, I know.
I laughed and I just waved at the owner because I'm like, I understand
I
the
feel ya,
struggle.
yeah.
I have to warm up to get into third gear.
I'm going to be pinned doing 30, 35 upgrades. That's going to be my
You're
life.
planning ahead.
So what engine's in this van again?
1.6 all naturally aspirated diesel.
Oh, that's actually they'll probably do better than the air-cooled Vanagon
Oh,
engine would.
well, you know what?
No, because
Reliability wise.
No, it's got 76 or whatever horsepower, but it's got way more torque than the factory one had, and torque is your
Perhaps.
issue.
I've heard that the 1.6 is considerably more miserable.
I've driven both at speed,
In
and no,
Vanagons?
the 1.6 is much more miserable at all times, except maintaining speed on the highway. Because a air-cooled flat four does not do it. The 2.0 flat four just can't. But the 1.6, like,
Oh, I forgot they did a water boxer.
yeah, no, they did a 2.0 non-water boxer.
Oh.
early one.
that's what
the
they
water
started
boxer
with.
was later. That
Oh,
started
man.
83.
Oh my
Yep.
god.
83, 82 was air-cooled. And so the 83, 82 air-cooled cannot do 75 comfortably, but the diesel can do about 70 to about 73 comfortably.
Not the 82. I have a 4-speed transmission, and it will not go over 60 miles an hour from what I've seen. I don't recall. So I have done one big trip in this van when I was like, I believe I did the math, and I was 7 at the time.
It was probably down on power, to be honest.
The diesel might need a serious tune-up.
It's
Yeah.
I've
might-
been
it
through it.
might
I've
need
timed it. I've checked compression. My compression is spot on, exactly what it should be. I went through like 3 different injection pumps on this van that I could not get to run right. And then finally, the last time I was in Washington, a buddy of mine who just basically works on Vanagons, and that's all he does up there, the van guy, he had me over a couple times, and I got to thinking about it, and I've got a Mark IV R32, and I really was planning to put the money into that and then take it down to Wookiees this year. And I got to thinking, like, I'm constantly on the move, traveling, going to different stuff. I rely on friends to stay places for longer periods of time. I have a couple bigger markets that I'm in. Minneapolis and Seattle are my 2 big ones that I go to. So I have places to stay in both of these cities, so I can stay here and operate and like go to car meets and kind of like do my thing. Whereas I don't have that in other cities, and there's other cities I'd like to check out. The van gives me an opportunity to travel and have a home base wherever I go, and I can stay comfortably for longer periods of time. I mean, I'm not above sleeping in my car. I do that a lot.
Right, but people are going to notice a van again. So it
Yeah.
might give you opportunities to make those new friends, too.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a talking point, and it's something that I can do more comfortably, if not more stressed out because of the whole theft thing. That's going to be,
Well, if you're in it,
yeah, I'm going to be in it most
It's
of the
not
time.
like a towing thing. People can't steal your vehicle when you're in it.
I would also, you could, with just how Vanagons are, it's much easier to make it like theft proof.
Yeah. You can put
so
shutoffs
theft-
all
theft
kinds of
resistant.
different places.
What I don't know if they have the idle speed motor or the idle speed computer under the hood or under the cover on Vanagon
back,
on the diesels, but on the gas ones they actually have
Is that the little green box?
It's a separate computer. I have one in my van.
Yeah, there's
It's
no
like a
computer on
spare
the
one.
1.6.
Yeah, so on my van or in my van, I just have one as a paperweight. But what'll happen is it's a computer is effectively a fancy capacitor, and it when they're unplugged or partially unplugged, so you can literally just take the computer and kink it over. If it's partially unplugged, the engine will run for about 5 minutes, and it'll gradually lose power, and then it'll start backfiring, and then stop in an intersection.
Perfect. Plenty
And-
of time to call it in and retrieve it.
Right.
Also, if you're like, my van
That's
stopped.
got to be on gassers, though.
Yeah.
'Cause that sounds like a
is on
Motronic
gassers.
1.0 thing.
It is actually a Motronic 1.0 thing. You're right.
Because it's
That's
in early E30s as well.
Yeah.
And I hate those things.
Yeah, so if you take that little computer and kink it over, it will stop it from running. It
The
makes
benefit
it
of the
theft-proof.
1.6 is if I see them stealing it, I have lots of time to run and catch them.
Yes, on
even
foot.
after they've entered the roadway.
Yes.
Because it is
Correct.
holy shit slow.
We did that with the Accord.
It's really impressive. I've taken it around the block a few times. I've yet to try to get it up to speed. My friend did a bunch of wheel stuff when I was out of town. The adapters got machined in correctly, and the wheels got put on, and they were not flush on my drums. So the first 2-3 drives that I took it on shortly after that, my rear wheels were.
That's just like most crossovers I see because they've slid into curbs at their all seasons and bent their wheels.
So I
it's
think
got
I've got
all-wheel
that
drive.
sorted now, and I just want to see what it will reach top speed wise. He also put tires that were shorter than what I wanted to put
Oh
on
no,
it.
you need tall.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
tall.
You got to
and
work that torque, baby.
Another
It's gonna be screaming. the whole
Another
time.
thing that you need, I would try the Yokohama Supervan Y356.
Well, it's too late. I'm broke. I already had to pay for the tires that are currently
Okay.
on the wheels.
Well,
they have to get me to Seattle, and then I will deal with it.
not the cheapest, but they're the best
Yeah.
because they have a really strong sidewall because they're the smallest, lower graded tire you can get in the market in America.
Hmm.
And what you want is you actually want a smaller contact patch because it gives you less rolling resistance
well,
with
it's a
them.
pizza cutter going through
Yeah.
the wind, too.
It's
Compared to
it's
that.
just a very small.
It's got some
contact
fancy
patch.
JDM wheels on it now that
But yeah,
are
you-
super light.
You get the really
Wow.
small contact patch, but you also have a hard sidewall, so when you go around the corner, it doesn't
It
feel
doesn't.
like it's going to tip
Yeah.
over. Because that's a
well,
real
less
thing.
so.
So
But anyway,
we
you've
talked
kinda-
we
I was
talked
gonna
about
say,
that. So
project cars.
I think we know what our answer is here, but
you better answer this correctly after
third
talking
question
about a Eurovan.
we have
Or
for
not
you.
Eurovan, a van again. I'm sorry. Faux pop.
Fast car.
No,
Are-
you don't read it. We read it to you. You stand
Well,
down,
don't put
sir.
it there.
It's for
It's
us.
for
I'm
us.
proving that I know how to read. Okay, I'm sorry.
So
Great, your
let the record show
photography,
Mike
down.
Gatch is literate. I have to ask you,
Let it be
would you rather a fast car driven in a slowly manner or a slow vehicle driven in a very quickly manner?
there's been one person that's answered this wrong.
And we had to correct them.
And
There
he has
are
a
wrong
bad
They're
answers.
still
car show.
alive.
Yeah.
You let
Yeah.
him leave.
Runs MNCNC
Ampersand. C.
and C. Yes.
Damn it, Daniel.
No,
No,
not
no, no.
Dan.
No.
No.
C and C.
Ampersand.
Oh,
C.
you did do that. You did do that.
Balto
Yeah.
answered this correctly.
Mm.
Yeah. Because Balto knows.
Well, yeah,
What's the
slow car
correct answer?
fast.
Slow car fast,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, good. That's the
Good.
correct answer.
Fast. I'm actually enjoying this TDI in horrible limp mode because I have to plan. It's like playing chess on the road now. You won't accelerate. I have like maybe a third of pedal travel that does
It's not a TDI anymore. It's just a
Anything?
DI.
basically.
Yeah.
So, what ended up getting you into cars? Because automotive photography is kind of a weird little niche to get
It
into.
definitely is. So I started with urbex. I used to recreationally trespass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've been under your city
Okay, yeah.
pretty extensively. St. Paul, I've been in the sewers and the utility tunnels, all that stuff.
That makes sense now because a
caves.
lot of my old street racing friends used to go out urban exploring.
Yep, and I
Yeah.
know them. So that's where these two worlds crossed for me. And I started getting more into cars. Like my first car was a '73 Beetle.
Yeah.
I learned to tinker on that. So obviously, like I'm into the mechanical end of things, and like I can basically fix anything at this point. I can take a Beetle apart down to the last nut and bolt, put it back together.
Well,
no
there's
problem.
13 of them, so that's, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got to start small.
13 bolts, man. And then you work your way up to modern Audis.
Yeah. Now I got a Golf R32 Mark IV. That's a fun one.
Well, fun when it works.
R32 Mark IV. Fun when it works. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's accurate.
Yeah.
Well,
At
it's
least
been
it's
one of the most
appreciating
reliable
now.
vehicles I've owned, honestly.
So far.
Just you wait.
It's
Yeah.
it's over 200,000 miles.
I
It needs
say
some
this
help.
in the most endearing way possible,
So you-
but poors should not own any VR6 Mark IV.
It's fine. No,
No,
it's
any
good.
VR6
I've taken
anything.
good care of it.
There's no VR6 that it should be owned by anybody that's poor.
I'm pretty sure I could not afford to properly own an R32 Mark
No.
IV.
I
That's why mine's not on the road right now, but I'm waiting. You know what's my favorite part is my buddy buys a different Mark IV junk piece of crap car like every week, and he'll Snapchat shit in my shop because he stores cars in my shop when I'm not in Indiana.
Sure.
And then he'll have a friend be like, it's such a shame that that R32's sitting there. It's just so sad. It should be driven. It's like, motherfucker. How do you think I feel? I own the motherfucker.
How about you go put chain
Yeah.
guides in it for me?
Exactly. Oh, you got some parts you want to donate? You feel so goddamn bad about it? Like, I'm the one that's sitting here. It's
Listen to that
basically in my
philanthropy
living
flow.
room.
so this is the way I describe VR6s to people that don't quite know them. I know 3 people that successfully have owned one. One of them is a plastic surgeon. The other one owns a very successful guitar shop, and the third one owns a steering wheel company.
Ah.
They all make 7 figures.
Yep.
And they live upper middle class lives at 7
We'll
figures.
say, yeah.
They're
With
still making
combined
bad decisions,
incomes.
so I got a lot in common with
So
them.
the R32 or the 2.8 will bring them down from upper class to upper middle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does bring you down. It is a lifestyle decision.
So actually, speaking of VR6s, kind of breaking down in a VR6 is what got me tighter into the car community
Perfect.
here.
We're
Yeah.
making progress.
So before I moved out to Seattle, because I did live there for 2 years, I had a friend of a friend selling a GLI VR6 24 valve 6-speed Jetta,
Okay.
and
Very good, very expensive car.
I convinced a friend of mine to buy
Good
this
when
car,
it's new.
Yeah.
and he gave me for free, I think it was an 03 VR6 GTI 12 valve
Good to 160,000 miles.
that had
They have expiration date.
jump
Yeah.
time.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh, a
So-
12 valve?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it had jump time. Yeah, surprise.
Wow.
I
24
fired it up,
valves do it too.
drove it onto a trailer,
it's a VR6.
took it home, and then I did a floor sweeper timing job on it. I had a couple other VR6 motors laying around with like guides that were in good shape and decent chains
Okay.
that had died earlier to other causes. So I slapped this cocksucker together,
Okay.
and I drove a Mark III limited slip diff installed transmission to Kansas City in this car, then drove it back to Indiana, and it had a weird oil consumption. It would use a bunch of oil between like one fuel change, and then it would be okay. It wouldn't use any
Oil change. Yeah. Huh.
And so I thought, well, this is interesting. Kind of disconcerting, but fuck it, I'm gonna drive this thing to Seattle
it,
because it made it to Kansas City and back.
Was it an oil separator?
So what happened is
my
I had
bad.
a valve guide turn one of my cylinders into an oil pump
Oh.
driving through Wisconsin. I got 5 hours into my
Yeah.
drive from Indiana, and it started chonking real bad. And I'm like, what?
Trying to hydrolock so
Yeah,
damn
yeah, I
bad.
really wanted to.
Mm.
And I look down and I don't see a check engine light, which immediately alarms me. So I go to shut it down and I look in my rearview mirror again to just kind of like get a bearing on my surroundings. I'm like, wow, I don't see anything. It is so dark back there. And then semi headlights bust through the cloud of smoke that's apparently billowing out the back of my car. And I jerk it off the road just in time to not get clobbered by him. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not good.
Like the Accord.
Yep.
Every time I see a van again, I just assume that it's had significant rear end collision damage from holding up the show. So,
Yeah, I'm
know
waiting
what-
for that.
yeah.
That's going to be my constant fear that somebody
Well,
on their phone
that's
just
why they.
plows into me.
it'll happen.
That's how they got the car through NHTSA safety. Is it got like a 1 star on its front end collision. You're never gonna have a front end.
No, God, no.
It got
All the
100
front ends
stars.
Are
It
perfect.
got 100 stars for the rear end collision.
Yeah, there's so much
'Cause
back there to protect you.
You gotta go like 7 feet to even get to the LP tank. Like you get 7 feet and then you explode. Like and then that
Maybe.
that will throw you away from the collision.
I got rid of that cocksucker. That LP tank is gone. That thing weighs like a ton.
Yeah.
And it holds 2.5, 3 gallons. What was the point of this?
2.5, 3 gallons of very sketchy holding LP. Yeah.
Mhm.
I would-
And
To
the-
power a refrigerator and a 2-burner range.
And the tank is very recent and is definitely certified within the last 2 decades.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
why nobody ever has them.
Yeah. You're not supposed to fill them if there's no tag on them.
I actually
Yeah, I guess.
I
they
wrote-
just
Mine was
don't give a
rusted the
shit.
fuck off.
I wrote 2 campers this week, which like affected my mental health.
I can imagine.
Actually,
this
it
this
actually came
damn
up in-
Vanagon has
it ca-
deeply affected my mental health.
Yeah, it came up on my Tuesday mental with my on my Tuesday therapy with my therapist. Like it literally came up. It was an actual thing. But each person I asked like, does this still have the LP tank? And they didn't answer me. And I said, before we have this go live, does this have an LP tank in it? And the reason is I need to know for shipping.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah,
if
you won't be able
if
to
that
ship
LP tank's in there and
Pressure
it's full,
vessel, yeah.
like then that will triple your shipping cost.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I need to know, and it's honestly
Tell me, baby
it's a
girl, 'cause I
bonus.
need to
it's a
know.
bonus if it doesn't have it.
Yep.
Like
That's one of the factory installed parts that you are
you take it out and just
fully
leave it at the dealer.
encouraged.
All you need is one of those
Totally.
little, like 2-pound tanks. You get an
Don't
adapter
even-
and you
don't
run
even-
your range
right,
off
You
of
don't
it.
even do that because you just they have a connection for when you go to a campsite and you just throw it in there.
Oh, that's nice. They have like shore gas.
Yeah, they have short gas, gray and potable water.
Oh, didn't know
They're
that.
really nice if they weren't as unreliable. Like
Potable. water.
Potable?
Potable.
Potent
You
potable.
said potable, which is very
Potable.
different. That's bong.
Before we
You
move
can
on to the
drink
next
water
one,
out of a pot.
I saw a really nicely done van, again, I'm sure owned by a 7-figure person, going up Pikes Peak when I was coming down, that had apparently a PDK and a 2.0 Common Rail TDI in it.
Very cool.
I'm just like, huh. So that's why it wasn't broken and was ascending.
There's a guy in my neighborhood that has a Vanagon Doka Synchro.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Synchros are incredible.
If you,
That's pretty rare.
I won't have you take the time to go on branch out, but those like sell for like 50 to 70 grand.
If I
Stupid.
see Synchro anywhere in a Volkswagen ad and it's not rusted to shit, I assume it's worth big money.
Yeah. There's one
It's
in Wisconsin
huge
going for
money.
$6K. The guy just like, well,
That's
couldn't get it
really
running.
cheap.
Yeah, I was
But
like,
that's-
I don't have Vanagon money, let
No.
alone
also,
Synchro money.
it's impossible to find parts for it.
Yeah.
If it's broken, you're screwed.
Yeah,
It's
you
a
got to
parts
find
store.
another old used.
No,
questionable
what you
quality
found
part.
is you found
Yeah.
a parts van for a running Synchro.
Yeah, you need a CNC mill and then a lot of knowledge.
My buddy in Washington
and
just
time
picked
and
up a
money.
Synchro.
Well, I mean, even the rear axles are different. Oh, there's no shared parts.
No.
It's
It's
just
between
like a Type
Synchro.
2.
It's so Type 3.
Type 3, sorry.
Yeah, it's like a Type 3, and just no shared parts with anything. They're
All right.
awful.
What's
Yeah.
your favorite? I'm cutting this a little short because we're running out of time. But
Oh,
yeah,
you're good.
what is your favorite Minnesota-based car event that's recurring? And yeah, I put you on the spot, so deal with it.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, there's
Recurring.
very few correct answers.
I
so.
used to. So there's so many things because I've been coming
Oh,
here
Mike,
for
where
a
did
while.
I see you last month? Oh,
Yeah,
no.
things have come and gone, you know.
No,
But right
that
now,
was that was a hint to the
Yeah,
best
where
car
did
event.
you know?
well, I was getting there. Cars and Craft is probably.
Oh,
There you
good
go.
pro-
That's the
oh,
correct
good.
answer.
It's the only one that I will go out of my way to go. In fact, I'd like for my ass to already be on the road in that van again, but I decided I was going to stay through the weekend
Because
to
it's
go.
on Saturday.
I
shoot
need to
cars
live
correct.
vicariously through your photos because I will be up north tomorrow.
Well, I'll do my best.
Thank you. I trust you will. Normally, I enjoy them quite a lot. So.
Well, I appreciate that. I just
And
try to capture the atmosphere.
I was
going
gonna say your photo style is so different because you don't. I mean, you do take lovely pictures of cars, and there are plenty of them.
You take
but
a photo of the
you
event.
take pictures of the event and the people,
Yeah.
and you capture the ethos, and that is something I've not seen from any of the other heavy hitters we've had on the podcast before.
I
So-
think it's a hard balance, and a lot of those guys are somehow more jaded than me. I'm jaded as fuck, but I think they've gotten to a point where, especially
Jaded is a line, and you're not dipping, bro. You're just in it, and it's
Okay.
fine.
You're
Once
just
you're
there.
once you're in it, then you can appreciate.
just varying depths of the flow.
We'll call it the Finer Things Club.
Okay. But no, having spent time out in Washington, I've seen a lot of stuff. Like, it's hard for me to get super excited about these smaller meets, but that's kind of what I prefer because you actually have real, like, interactions with people.
Right.
And you get to engage with, like, younger enthusiasts who are, like, just getting into it and kind of give them a little direction. Whereas,
Well, you're forming relationships with people.
Yeah.
I was talking to her name is Felicia. She has an Instagram as Audi Girl, but like this person, I just like it's an Instagram personality until you meet them, and you actually talk, and like this person's been through all of the same things that we talk about, like why the car community is the way it is,
Right.
why you get so jaded at shows, and then what you should really be doing at car shows, and that was what it was.
Mhm.
And I think that's what you captured just so uniquely. I mean, I've just not experienced anything
well,
like that.
the way people get excited seeing their cars, but I think people get more excited, like, seeing themselves interacting with friends
Yes.
and, like, in a genuine moment.
It keeps them coming back and actually looking at the photos
Yeah,
too.
so-
I don't like, my style isn't about, like, stage, like, we're gonna go shoot X at X place, yada yada yada.
We
It's
don't
about-
want to. You're not
wanna
going to grab
capture a
all the
genuine
models and put 'em-
moment.
You're not going to get all the models and put them right next to one random car.
Yeah, it's silly.
Yeah.
So,
So,
it's,
have
it's
you ever
genuine moments? Is
have you
what I
ever
like to capture.
read the Chronicles blog?
Just got a genuine
Stick-
moment on my
it's,
iPhone. Mm.
It's stickydojo.com.
No,
It's a hilarious
I'm
name.
from
It-
Indiana.
it-
I don't
it-
read much.
It used to be his. It used to be.
You can
his-
read? Oh my god.
We've
Yeah.
established this.
But anyway, it used
know,
to,
but I had to bring it
the
back.
guy Joey Lee. He actually started it way before he got famous, and it was his own personal blog based off of his username on like Honda tuning or Honda Tech back in the day. But he captures shows, and he used to shoot for Super Street. I don't know who he shoots for now. Oh, he works for Weekfest now. But
Okay.
he goes around the world doing this, and he shoots shows very similar to you.
Okay.
But he's got one of the largest private car blogs, like not secretly run by CBS or something.
Yeah, so that's
It's not like Speed Hunters,
my
which is
thing
Grassroots
is
Motorsports owned by Walmart.
independent, 'cause
yeah,
I-
or like Speed Hunters, which is
Right.
literally owned by EA.
Yeah, I
Speed Hunters was actually designed as a way for them to make the Need for Speed games better.
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, it's clever.
If you actually scroll all the way down at the bottom on Speed Hunters, if you actually scroll down, EA owns them.
That's cool.
And that's why if you actually look at, like, if you have played any, like, you can see when Speed Hunters started versus when it wasn't around.
And the quality of the game.
The quality of the games. Like, you play Need for Speed, I think it's Most Wanted. No, it's not Most Wanted. It's Pro Street, I think, is when they started it. And there was one right before it. I can't remember what that was. But, yeah, it was Most Wanted. But Most Wanted and Pro Street, you can see the cutoff when they actually made Speed Hunters. And night and day difference in quality.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do more, like, blogging and kind of, like, coverage of events.
Yeah.
Because I used to really like writing, but I don't do that much anymore because I'm by the time I've gotten all the photos edited and I just want to post them and I just don't have the energy to sit there and
You're asleep.
recount my whole day. But I also don't want to wait till the next day.
We
to
got
be
this
like, yeah,
dictation thing, man.
Yeah.
There's a couple other car blogs that are like that are the guys they hate writing. And it's like DOHC Research. That's a really good blog where the guy, I think his name is Ryan Durr, and he lives in Japan. And he drives around in a 72 Honda Life that he did Bososoku style.
Nice.
And he goes like Bososoku and drift events.
Yeah, I try to go to everything, and I don't want to be limited.
That's just like what he personally is into at the moment. But as his tastes change, he goes to different things.
Sure.
So,
And yeah, I go in and check out different stuff, and I just don't want to be limited in like what my scope is and the kind of events that I can cover. And so like getting in with like a specific publication.
That was me. I did that.
They want you to go and shoot specific things, and
that's I think if you did a blog yourself, and then like with the writing, like I'd say. So, like, I would say really check out Sticky Dojo. Like,
okay.
Check out that.
Yeah, give me, like, a link to that or something.
Yeah, I'll send that to you on Facebook
real quick. I will not remember.
But if you look at that, like, some of them, they'll do very minimal. But, like, even the ones that are, like, larger writings, like where, like, Sticky Dojo is, like, a 3,000-word dissertation in each one of his articles. But he just...
I've come across those.
Yeah. I want to do more write-ups and stuff, so...
Well, what he does is he word pukes. And then he throws it through Grammarly, and then calls it a day.
There you go.
And he doesn't care what it says. He's just recording his travels.
Easy writing makes for difficult reading.
This is how I recollect it. Enjoy.
Well, he puts it all in like one big wall of text, so you can just scroll through it, and you don't have to get like 4 photos and then a wall of text, and then another 4 photos, and then like another 1,000 words. You just get 3,000 words that you scroll through, and then you get to the photos.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's really easy on a phone, because it's all in a gallery. So you just you go like that as hard as you can, and then you get to the bottom, and then you go like that.
There they are.
The browsers are literally designed for this because we don't have attention span.
I feel like the way I shoot, though, I mean, I don't really need to say much because I'm capturing like the sequence of events.
Yeah, I think,
unless you post it on Facebook, which is garbage, and it just takes and gerbles damn images up.
What the hell is wrong with that? I've had mine set to high quality for the last 15 years, and I uploaded 61 iPhone photos, and it took 24 hours for it to post.
I can't use Facebook
also
anymore.
Received each one of those individually on my feed with the same text.
No, it's because people started to comment on them.
Yeah, and I got the same text.
So I used to be able to dump like
irritating.
600 photos onto my photography page,
God.
after an event.
Yeah.
And then like share it to all the pertinent groups and yada yada yada, and then people would tag all their friends, and that's how I got.
I couldn't even tag my peeps in your fucking Facebook shit.
It's garbage now.
Yeah,
every
trash.
update, it's worse.
I would just
it's a setting on your post, but
just get WordPress and call it a day.
I just do Flickr because I can post the full res
photos
up. And
that as a blog site, it's just really nice. And you can just like share from Flickr. It's really easy to work with WordPress. I love them. That's what the Carbitrage blog was when I cared about writing.
Before you wrote for a living.
Yeah, well, it's more like COVID. I just after post-COVID and pre-COVID, Ryan are two different people because I just don't want to write words.
I just try to avoid doing anything that sucks. Like I'm 34 years
I
old now.
am about that,
and I don't want to. So everyone tells me, "Oh, you can make more money doing this. You can make more money doing that. Oh, you should be on this. You be shut up,
honey, please.
Just shut up, okay?" I have very little
Shut your
responsibility
beautiful
in my
mouth, okay?
life. I like to keep it that way. I make just enough money to pay my bills and do what I wanted. I'm not trying to get rich. I don't care.
Well,
I don't want to deal with people that suck, and I don't want to do things that suck.
Yet you're here.
You guys are border. You're on the border of suck. Like suckle. It's like a
That's
suckle.
also
I
why
accept.
that's why he's here now,
Yeah,
and
true.
not in like February.
It depends when you ask him. He's like, "Fuck no," or versus like, "I guess."
So yeah,
Anyway.
we should move on to
Yep.
the most important questions.
The Mondial Challenge. I'll let Ryan set this up because
So
I
the
did the
Mondial
last one.
Challenge came about from our friend Aaron, who was out in California, and one day sent Erik, even doing our podcast,
Yep.
a photo
just barely.
of a Ferrari Mondial that had been used as a donor for a 308, where they share the engine, and you get 308 with a blown engine. It's cheaper to just buy a Mondial and put the Mondial engine into the 308, and now you have a car that's worth more money than both of them combined.
Okay.
However, this now makes an interesting quandary, where you now are stuck with a Ferrari Mondial, which made about 240 horsepower, was manual only, and had a transverse mid-engine V8.
Mm-hmm.
And what is your route to get that to be a functional vehicle again? Now, you can't do the stock engine because the stock engine is prohibitively expensive.
Especially
And-
now, 3 years
yeah,
later.
especially now 3 years later, it's even more prohibitively expensive. And you don't want to do an LS because the LS swap will make it automatic, and that's gonna totally ruin the whole car.
We've had instances where it doesn't, but yes.
Yes, but so what I
It
said.
has been done.
What I said, 240 horsepower is a very attainable level. I said a rotary with an adapter plate, which is commercially available,
Mm-hmm.
to fit an AE101 Toyota Corolla transmission. And that would be a street-ported rotary. I would do either a 12A or a 13B with a 12A intake with a Holley 650 CFM, or not Holley, because I don't know about carburetors, and Hollies suck. I would say an Edelbrock, I'd say an Edelbrock 650 or 750 CFM carb on that. I'd say 650 now because that will give you a little bit better drivability.
Yeah, the throttle aperture is probably a better fit for that engine. One thing that Ryan forgot, you can't cut in a sheet metal. And my answer was a Toyota 3.3, so out of a Sienna with the earlier 3-liter TRD supercharger, Solara transaxle, 400 wheel, no problem.
Yep, and I chose mine because it would be a similar amount of power and a similar noise.
And way more fun.
And way more fun because it'd be it's also similarly reliable to factory Ferrari.
Whereas mine is
V80s.
boring.
Yeah, but reliable.
I need
and
all my
fast.
stuff to turnkey, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know I'm dumb as hell, so I'm going to say VR6 because it sounds exotic.
That
And
would-
again, pretty close to the same
Yeah,
power rating.
That's just like a
With
worse
3.2
version of the Alpha
or a
engine.
3.6.
So.
That's fair. So you do a VR6 swap.
Yeah, well,
Actually-
I want a VR6 swap.
I'm not
every
mad
day.
about it.
Yeah.
And
No?
it's got a cable linkage. It's got that weird cable
3.2s
linkage thing.
do, and 2.8s, yeah.
Yeah, and so
3.6 Di's don't.
But I mean, yeah, but you have that weird cable linkage, and that actually makes it easier to swap because you don't have to deal with some weird, stupid transmission.
That is a
linkage.
fair point.
So
That's a pretty good
And
answer.
they're good motors for swaps. I mean,
Oh, they're good engines as long as you have maintained them.
yeah. And you never
Which
know
none
what
of
you're
them-
gonna
no,
get.
none of them have been,
No,
so
this
you
is
do know.
America. Ain't no
Well,
one
you
maintaining
can also
VR6.
what I would say is you just get one and you just plan to put $10,000 worth of timing chain work into it. And
Yeah.
I say $10,000 because you have a shot to it, and then when something inevitably goes wrong, it's not
it's
your
warranted.
problem.
Yep.
It's not your problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Although
everything's my problem.
Getting them to warranty chain work in the body of a Mondial might be on the tricky
might be
side.
that might be a challenge.
Well, if you scream and shout loud enough at 5 o'clock when everybody's picking their cars
That's why
up,
you get it in writing
Yep.
too. Yep.
Get out of here. We want to go home.
yeah, if you're a problem for them, they will do it. They'll make you go away.
I just don't have it in me to be a problem for anyone.
Yeah,
So
that's
Mike,
totally fair.
our next and pretty much last question. This is probably not really up your alley because you drive everywhere, but the rest of the civilized world flies places for vacations, and especially now, this is more relevant than ever
Actually,
before with
I
rental
would
car
train-
pricing.
I would train places still because actually I'm thinking about going to the race
It's
of
just
gentlemen.
too slow, but yeah.
Well, that's the thing is I can work from wherever I feel like.
Yeah, well,
so
you
I can just
can.
take the Amtrak.
1,500 to 3,000.
So anyway, you're
yes.
you're going somewhere for 2 weeks. Rental car, especially
Let's
now,
say California.
out of the question. Yeah, California.
going to
for
Monterey
the,
Car
for the
Week.
sake of this. Rental car is going to cost you $2,000 for 2 weeks.
Man,
What do you fly there? You buy on Craigslist. You drive home and you make money on.
Oh, I get a clapped out like Baja Bug, and I'd rock that thing on the most
know what?
miserable road trip on the planet.
You know what? I think you might be right
Yikes.
because you can
No
get.
rust though.
Yeah,
Well,
and I've
you
got
can-
all the parts back in Indiana.
But no, that's the thing is you can get a Baja in California for like half the price. Like you can get like the shittiest Baja in Minnesota and turn that into a $15,000 car. 'Cause the
Oh
way it
yeah.
looks. And like, it only needs to work enough to drive you to and from back to the 50s.
Wasn't there a Grand Tour episode where Jeremy bought like a V8 Rover V8 swap Baja?
Yeah,
and
something like that.
like even like the actual platform is there's nothing to it, but like there's nothing to it,
No,
so it
yeah.
doesn't break.
Well, I had a Baja Bug shortly that I got from like a towing company that had been sitting there, and I think I paid like $1,500 for it. And the motor, it smoked like hell, and it had air shocks, and I took that to a friend's like 4th of July party, and I cut like a horseshoe track through his woods. I just took drunk people on rides in this thing, like getting inches from trees, just hauling ass, because I could drive an air-cooled Beetle. I know the dimensions of that vehicle intimately. That was my first car.
Yeah.
So
I'm not going to get into your intimacy with the Beetle, but
we don't need to. It's
Okay.
fine.
that isn't our 5th question, just for the record.
But I had so many parts. Like the first drive into the woods, the clutch literally exploded. So we pulled it out with a go-kart, and I dropped the motor into my friend's gravel driveway, drove home, got a clutch and pressure plate out of my stash, came back, put it in, lifted the motor back into the car, bolted it all back up, went back out into the woods, came back into the field, ball joint snapped. Boom, no problem. Went back, grabbed a trailing arm out of my part stash, slapped
There's
it back in
that
there.
easy to work on. This is entirely accurate.
Sounds like me with an 830, except for the engine thing. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not lifting an M20 back into a car.
So, we should actually revise our answers, because when we last did this, there was a different world for
Different
our
market.
choices, actually.
well, rentals were cheaper and
But-
cars were different too.
yeah, the cars were different. It's been a while since we've had it's been over a year since we've had a guest in person.
Yeah.
So,
Which, oops, but thank you for coming down.
yeah. So I think for that $3,000 threshold,
I remember my answer. Do you remember yours?
yeah, I think I said a Mercedes of that.
You said a
era.
W124.
Yeah, 124,
And I said E46 330i.
which is not anywhere near.
Not right now.
Not nowhere.
Oh,
not,
sorry.
Not.
I could get an auto for that now, but I
Yeah.
don't have no interest in that. So I'm going to revise my answer to a 328, which I can still get for that.
I'm gonna say, actually, based off of my experience with Jana's car, a weirdo V8.
Is that
Train.
hold on, is that a train?
It's a
Hold
train.
on,
The chooch train. Yeah. Oh, it's so cool! Look at the train. He's not tuning, but he's squeaking his wheels.
Oh,
You can hear the squeaks.
going the wrong way for the dude.
It's so fun. It's full of rocks. It's all full of rocks.
Oh man, I'm sweating.
It's literally all full of
I know,
rocks.
I'm all sweaty.
But anyway,
that is very full of rocks.
I would say like a
Shooting the
weirdo
chooch.
American car.
Okay.
Just because of I know that in Minnesota, if it doesn't have rust on it, it'll just sell for more.
That is true.
So I'm really into early
Look what
early
you did,
Malays
sure.
GM muscle cars are kind of cool because you could get a lot of cars that were effectively the real muscle cars, but a hell of a lot cheaper because they were like emissions restricted.
So you're talking the pre-miniaturization.
I'm saying like a 74 GTO is my favorite
Okay.
muscle car. Where that was a miniaturized GTO, but it was still had all the real GTO stuff. So it still
Sure.
had a posi in it, still had a functional like hood scoop, all that cool stuff. But I'd say something along those lines. Maybe like a Mopar would be kind of cool. But something American V8 has been driven and has just been sitting out in the sun, and it looks like hell. Because that
Yeah.
will exist in California.
If it's somebody's daily driver, that's always a
Yeah,
good sign.
it'll be like somebody's like just like a daily driven like Malays like Le Mans.
Oh god.
Just like a weirdo American car that's like a little off kilter,
Oh, I've got a
but-
Tempest. Perfect.
but of that era where
Yep.
it's still a V8 rear wheel drive, Tempest, or like a Mercury Cougar instead of a Mustang, where like the Cougars were like Lexo barges, but they're really cool, but they weren't the Lincolns, so nobody knows about them.
Well, it's like a Fairmont. Well, what used to be a Fairmont versus
Yeah,
a
now-
Mustang.
now Fairmonts
Now
are-
Fairmonts are worth a fortune.
Now everybody knows what they are, but I feel like because that happened, that's actually what drew me to that was the Fairmont. Because Fairmont was a very cheap car for a long time, but because Fox body Mustangs are now like desired, now you had to go to the Fairmont to have your cheap 8th mile car, and like these would be also cheap 8th mile cars because what they did is just put muscle cars on a diet to try and get them through emissions because they didn't want to spend any money.
I just want a good car with air conditioning that gets good fuel economy. It's fun to drive.
Oh.
Yeah, that's fair. So what would you do?
Why'd you have to say
The
air
E46
conditioning?
328.
That's just you do a 328.
I'm just going a year prior because nobody thinks about a 328. Like, it's a really good car.
That's very fair.
That's fair.
I totally didn't even think
Everyone's
about
searching 330i for their
You would
drift
be
missile or their
another good
SCCA
one?
spec car. What?
that. An Acura Vigor,
I would not buy one of those.
5-cylinder,
Yeah,
but you can't. They're totally just Honda reliable.
that's
and
true.
You can get them with a manual,
That's true.
and they are completely free in California, and in Minnesota they're also completely free, but slightly less so. So you probably
Rust-free vigor is still gonna catch somebody's attention.
the fact that it's rust free, I think, is gonna be your selling point, because the rust freeness of it will probably add about $1,000 onto the value.
Oh, you certainly won't lose money. In fact,
Yep.
you might even make your fuel budget back.
Yeah. So there you go.
So there, vigor is a pretty good answer.
Yeah. So, all right.
All
Let's
right.
move on.
We only have
to
one more. Should
the
be very
final
short.
one.
If you
Yes.
have a name for your TDI, what is it?
I just call it the turtle diesel.
Turtle diesel.
The
it
turtle
is.
diesel.
Yeah.
You don't name your cars.
No.
Okay.
It's
I've
more
yet to
of
name the
a-
Buick.
More of a lady thing, I think. But
No,
think so,
I do
yeah.
it.
oh, okay. All my cars that, have
makes
names
you a lady. That
have been
doesn't make
named
it
by
okay.
ladies. I'm just saying that's my experience. I'm not saying that's universal.
That is Cosimo Medici, the Fiat, because it's the metallic black.
Okay.
And I
That
needed
might
to
be the
get. I
most
needed.
pretentious car name I've
I
ever
needed to give it. Well, I named it after the founder of the Medici family.
Yeah.
The Accord.
As you said, very pretentious.
Yeah, Jan's old Accord is named Harvey Dent because there's a dent in its 2 colors now.
I'm
So it's
considering
two-faced.
calling the van Kevin Bacon because I flew a friend in to
Ooh,
do the
that's a good
welding,
one.
and the side of the van is bacon now. It looks fucking horrible.
So there you go. Kevin Bacon would be a great name.
Kevin
for
Bacon's with what it's called now.
it. The Cresta is named Sir David Attenborough.
It almost got a stripper name since I got so much help on the
remember this
project.
now.
I was thinking about calling it Charity.
The
but
Subaru's
it's
called
just-
Billy the Boobaroo.
Billy the Poobaroo?
Boobaroo.
Burbaroo. Okay,
Yep.
all right.
All of my cars have names. Yeah, like literally every single one of them. So I can
think
keep
it's
going,
just
but it'd take the whole night.
Mr. Wags, I think that's it.
So I got a question for you guys.
Sure,
then.
fine. Yeah,
So
fine.
turn the questions around. Let's make a wager on how far I get in this van before it breaks down the first time.
So here to Seattle.
Yeah.
What route are you taking?
I'm just gonna go down 90 basically. 94, 90 through North Dakota, Montana, Idaho.
I bet you get to.
Owatonna.
All the time.
I'm not giving you any credit.
I bet you get to Janesville because there's nothing there that will help you.
That's a good, yeah.
I was
If
gonna
it's
say-
an island of suffering with no resources, that is where I will break down.
That's just what's gonna happen.
If you don't break down before Owatonna, it means it's probably gonna make it pretty far. So I'll say Standing Rock.
No, he's going north. He's not gonna hit Owatonna. He's
Oh.
going northeast.
No,
Or northwest, I
90
mean.
is south.
Through North Dakota?
South Dakota.
You said
Well,
North
I'm gonna
Dakota.
take 94 and then hop on to 90 when it go. I think that's in Montana where
Oh,
they
okay,
meet.
okay.
So I'm doing the north route. That's the way I always go. It's the most direct. I was considering like maybe taking back roads, but then I realized
So
I'd be
Albertville, then?
inflicting that miserably slow van on everyone that had no way to get around it. So the highway, just sticking to the right lane.
But you'd be kind of like an Amish person.
Yeah.
Oh, put a triangle on the back, just for
You should put a
giggles.
triangle.
I was raised too Catholic. I can't. My Catholic guilt's gonna eat me alive this whole trip. I'm gonna feel so bad.
That's
for
why you put a
everyone.
triangle on the back.
That
Yeah,
absolves
then
me?
it's a
Yeah.
giggle. Yeah, it's like a rosary that's constantly
Didn't-
slipping.
I
Yeah,
did.
it's a constant rosary. Yeah.
Just put a rosary around it if it makes you feel better too, and then it's fine.
Anyway,
All right.
well,
So
so
it's
you
up
said,
to you,
said
Ryan, if you want to.
Janesville.
Yeah, I said
Right.
Janesville.
So, and then I said you're gonna get to like about Standing Rock or like relative. Is it latitude?
I'm taking
What's longitude goes?
longitude. Long is wide, latitude is verta.
You're gonna get to Standing Rock or the equivalent latitude,
Latitude, okay.
of Standing Rock. Yes.
Whereas Owatonna is just like you haven't left.
Yeah.
I'm
Owatonna
not going to be
is-
worried till I get in the mountains. I think that 1.6
Nah.
is going to be good until I meet hills.
But the engine, I don't think, will be your downfall.
No, there's gonna be something catastrophic. It's a Vanagon. You're gonna have some sort of weird catastrophic
Have fun
failure.
with your wheel.
I remember my
bearing
aunt
seals.
making my mother, myself, and my sister get out and walk beside that van in the mountains when we were kids because it was overheating and the coolant pipes had rusted through.
Wow, that thing's got a storied
Oh
history.
yeah. When was the last time the coolant pipes were replaced?
They got replaced on that trip.
Okay.
So
You're gonna need new coolant pipes.
no, they're good.
No, you will. Anyway, what was it? We had another question we used to do.
Did we?
Yeah, I feel
Let
like we
me
did.
go back to the guest
Because
topics.
we have we still have a couple minutes here with them.
Oh, we have standard. No, that's the same thing. No, why is this in here twice?
Oh,
Oh my
No,
gosh.
that's it. I
Okay,
think we
just
may
remember-
have in the past, but I think we did get rid of some.
Yeah, we did get rid of some because it
Well,
just
if you
turned
have
in,
any
it turned
burning
into 21 questions.
It did,
With
but I mean
people.
that's still interesting. But I have a question for you, Ryan, which
Yes.
is, we are 54 minutes into the episode. Shall we just move the tier list with Mike into the next one?
Yes, let's do it in the next one. However, what we can do is let's get through some of this news here because we haven't been around for a while.
Ooh, news.
Yeah,
That's fine as long as I make note of what we're covering.
yeah, that's fine. Let's do the top 2 stories that we have here.
Fair enough. All right.
So, because you have big news.
been referencing all these things about seeing a van again on Pikes Peak that wasn't broken and had a PDK for some goddamn reason. But
So weird.
it was kind of cool. He had a race car as a Beetle with a PDK and a 2.0 TDI. And it was pretty quick. So we finally found a Phantom.
Okay.
There was much rejoicing. Black on black. Took private party, this and that, yada, yada, yada. So I will try to keep this as short and sweet as I can. I have a very good friend that lives down in Dallas. I found the car in Fort Worth. I asked him, I'm like, if I do everything, paperwork's done, title's done, shipped to me, keys are in the car, I have a time, a place, and a day where you go pick up the car, will you do this for me? He's like, yep, no problem. So, finally get done with all this crap. The bank wire transfer is done. We are 5 days before Pikes Peak, 3 days before he leaves town for Pikes Peak because he's going early to do some
Yeah.
sweet drives. The dude, dilly-dallying, sets a time for 2 days. So 1 day before he leaves. Day of the event comes. They drive down there in his Porsche Cayman GT4, about an hour and 20 minutes away, in terrible Texas traffic. He's with his former Armed Forces private helicopter pilot friend. They get to the address, which is on White Settlement Road in Fort Worth. There is a giant gilded gate that has the gentleman that I bought it from's first name on it. The gate is open. They drive in. They witness a very long but very slender piece of property that has many outbuildings that have clearly been added on to many times very haphazardly. Many garage doors, and a very old, what looked like kind of plantation-y house that had individual rooms added on sporadically here and there. Some
I'm
old
just imagining
cars parked.
I'm imagining a shitty version of the Winchester Mystery Mansion.
That's kind of what I imagined too. I haven't
Yeah.
seen it, but like you can on
Yeah,
Google
that's-
Maps you
in
can
my
see
mind,
it.
that's what I'm thinking.
But
yeah.
he's commenting like there's a brand new like ProMaster Amazon wrapped van sitting in 3-foot tall grass, like amongst all these like half-ton pickups, and they drive around this house as he's texting. He's 15 minutes early, but he's texting the man's wife, who I've arranged to meet to deliver the car. No answer. So he's texting me while I'm in like, a meeting up in Minnesota. I'm like, dude, if you need to leave, just leave. It's okay. I will take care of it. I hear nothing for 20 minutes until I get a picture of the car in a single stall garage next to a Mustang convertible with the top down. I'm just like, I'm opening up Find My Friends on my phone just to open his location and like taking screenshots to make sure I know where he was when he died, basically. And then 15 minutes later, I get a picture of him behind the wheel in the car, essentially, and I can see from this iPhone picture the center information display is orange and it has a fuel light on it, and I see the gauge and it's just pegged hard down on E. A couple minutes later, I get a picture from a gas station. He's like, it took $80 of fuel. I'm like, I'm done. I'm just happy you're alive.
That's
So-
too. They'll have like a $50 limit.
His card apparently was fine with the $80. So for me, the rest of the trip, I had to use 2 cards to fill it every time. But he's like, as penance for that miserable bastard leaving it empty, I took all the toll roads home on his Texas plate. I'm
There
like,
you go.
that's what I would have done too. And I'm
Fair
sure he'll
is
forward him
fair.
to me. But he gets it home. Car is in exquisite condition. It's exactly as described. No issue. I get there a couple days later via airplane. He's already left. So is his
Has
wife.
there been an issue?
Nothing
What?
really.
I don't
Except
believe
for
it.
like, I mean, there was a personnel issue where there was another person added to the trip that I didn't really care for, that I had not approved lodging for, so that created a whole hubbub.
Why do you bring Corey?
Corey went, but he drove separate. He drove
I
from.
was saying that was the person that was.
Oh no, no,
The joke.
I'm not gonna name names,
No,
but
no,
this
it's
is a
fine.
person that I used to be friends with, and I blocked 4.5 years ago
Okay. Yeah.
for genuine reasons.
Yeah.
Oof.
And yeah, it wasn't the person who wasn't aware of it. It's fine, whatever. Get to the car. Other than my friend said that one of the tires was a little bit low and he had to air it up, and there's a tire pressure warning on the car. It's a wheel speed based system, not a sensor based system. Talked them all up in his garage to 40 psi. Reset it. Good to go. The thing is doing 9-ish miles to the gallon in the city while we're doing errands, just getting water and beer and all this stuff for the trip. I fill it up again a day and a half later before we leave because it's already at a half tank. And this is a 29-gallon tank, so it was at a half a tank. Get on the road to Colorado Springs. Get to, I want to say, just past Amarillo, so about the halfway point. And the previous owner of the Rolls texts me saying, like, you're not going to believe this, but I just went by the other way on 280 or whatever. I'm like, oh, really? I was like, what were you in? I was like, I was in a lifted 350 dually with a gooseneck trailer. I'm like, oh, yeah, I didn't see you. But, like, the Rolls is pretty identifiable.
Yeah.
But the dude's been in, like, constant contact the whole time, just, like, super chill guy.
That's awesome. Good.
Get to
I'm
Colorado.
so weird that, like, this is so weird that you've had, like, a reasonable trip.
It's really strange, but I'm not looking into it as long as he... Yeah, sends the title someday. It should be fine.
Yeah, like, this is not a burger acquiring
Yeah, what?
car
Yeah, no, I was
story.
expecting it to be on fire or something, or, like, you got shot, or, like, something
Not-
along those
not
lines.
Too
yet.
smooth, man. Too smooth.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it's here.
there's-
It's downstairs. You guys
There-
can see
there's
the
going to be a
car.
title issue. There's going to be a typo on the title when he sends it to you.
Don't wish magic that on him.
There's going to be a
No, it's
Q.
just what happened.
That's what happens to me.
The whole,
no.
the whole typos would be just Q's.
We get to Colorado Springs proper.
All the
I take
wrong
the car
letters.
to Discount Tire because there's a little bit of a wheel wobble between like an indicated 70 and 80. That's it. I'm like, it would just be nice if the 1,000 miles home were a little bit smoother. I take it in. I have an appointment. I called in the morning for this place. I'm like, I just want the wheels balanced. I agreed on a cost, everything. I gave them the keys. We walked to Walmart next door to buy our Grey Poupon because it's a Rolls Royce. And
Gotta do
you know,
that.
snacks and stuff like that. But they call me like 10 minutes later. I'm like, that can't be good. I figured like they couldn't get the suction cup center caps off or something. Like, oh yeah, we pulled it in and these tires are 10 years old. We can't balance these. I'm like, I'll sign a waiver. I'll pay you cash after hours. I don't care. They're fine. They're not weather checked. They're full tread. It's a Rolls. Like, yeah, but if we take them off the car and we put them back on, like we're saying that they're good. So anyway, I have the hubbub with him, but this is the first thing that goes wrong. I have to go to a Walmart to shop because we're trying to save time
And
that
money for your gasoline.
didn't work. Oh, anyway, the wheels did not get balanced. We ended up driving the car to our hotel, which is called SCP, which is a converted motel, but they did a really good job of it. So like
Nice.
you pull in and you're like, oh no. There's like a trailer parked behind it and shit like that. But like
Uh-oh.
everything's super modern. Like the most comfortable mattress I've ever slept on in my entire life. The lobby was ultra modern, just super cool. Really nice staff. They gave us
Oh,
excellent advice.
it's like the motel that they bought in Schitt's Creek.
Way nicer.
No, the one they bought. The last season. The one with
Oh.
the president's suite.
That wasn't renovated.
No, but it was all really nice, like mid-century. It was a nice motel, though. That's what I'm saying. So you see the motel,
He's
you're
saying
like,
that it was renovated.
I know, but I'm saying it's
You're-
it's like that because you see the motel, you go, oh no, and then you open the door, you go, this is great. Yeah.
Anyway, I had low expectations, and then I was pleasantly surprised. So that was another good thing. However, Corey, on the other hand, had
I saw Corey's
hotel rooms booked by his dad, of all people,
Why
and
did he do that?
neglected to look up the check-in time window. So we got back from downtown at like midnight, and then he drove over there, and I had fallen promptly asleep in my room, who I was already tripling up on, which I had no intention of doing. Corey then had to wake my Texas friend up, who I bought his own room for actual reasons. And then Corey now had to bunk with this person in the second room that I had paid for. So that was another issue. Going up the mountain at 3 a.m. the following morning, our third car, which is other invited friends that I haven't talked about yet, been good the whole trip.
have been invited though.
All Trek, 6-speed, full of 3 people, good people. They made it there. We told them the departure time from the parking lot. They did not wake up in time. So, go up the mountain. The Cayman with Corey and the other friend are behind us. The 3 of us are in the Phantom. Get halfway up the mountain. They're waving everyone into halfway. Everyone that's coming up the mountain, nope, can't go any further, halfway. But I get up to the top. I'm like, yeah, we're going to Devil's Playground. Like, do you have a reservation? I'm like, yeah. And we're in a Rolls Royce. So he lets us pass. The Cayman says we're with them. The Volkswagen was like 8 cars behind us.
They didn't.
They didn't. So
Good.
they got stopped at halfway. We ended up getting
that happens, you know, wake up.
3 stops further on a closed mountain. So we didn't get all the way up to Devil's Playground, which we had intended to, but we did get to Cove Creek, which is
Pretty close,
11,800 feet,
God.
which is high up there. We just get steered in. Awesome food truck up there with reasonable prices. Cell service, which is weird.
Weird.
Yeah. But we clearly the parking lot was full, and then they just sort of like we started a new row with the Phantom and the GT4 on this like gravel lot, so we got a lot of attention. But the race itself was only 65 entrants this year,
Okay.
because 2020 obviously hit pretty hard last year, and then all of the foreign travel restrictions are still in place for a lot of these
Yeah.
places. But it was nice. We didn't have a single person fly off the mountain and need an air flight. Only 2 mechanical breakages, so we were off the mountain and back at the hotel by like 5 p.m.
Oh.
Even with 2.5 hours down the mountain,
Wow.
which is pretty typical. Once we got back, we left the following morning via a Waffle House once again.
Delicious.
This is where the one issue with the car came about. So
You ran out of Grey Poupon?
I allowed somebody else in the car, who I won't name, to drive. And I
Why?
probably wouldn't have been able to avoid this incident at the same time, which is why it's not relevant. But we were in Kansas, getting very close to entering the first major interstate.
Oh.
And there was a very, very large pothole. And the front right of the car strikes it, and then immediately the suspension collapses on that corner while we're getting onto the highway. And then at the end of the entrance ramp, another very large one, we're now on the bump stops, hits that, take the next exit. When you dip below 40 miles an hour in a Phantom, you can hit a switch for high ride height mode. So I hit that as we're pulling off the highway, and the system does come back online. It had given us tire pressure monitor warning and suspension warning at that point. Park it just in front of a trucker that's sleeping on an on-ramp. Get out, and like, it's not bottomed out. Like, it's low, but it's not bottomed out. So after just reaching into the fender well and wiggling the upper wishbone to make sure it's not obviously loose and clunking, started back up, hit the suspension raise button, and just drive under 40 for a quarter of a mile just to make sure it's as high as it can be. Didn't really have any genuine noise for about another 100 miles.
Oh.
But then the roads got
Quite bad.
worse, we'll say, and then every single time there was something in the road that you thought might be significant enough where you would feel a bump. There was an alarming metal on metal ball joint failure noise, sound, and feel in the car, and we're 830 miles from home at this point. I'm just it's not getting worse. So I just started coughing every time we
There
went
you
over
go.
an expansion joint, so I
Yeah,
couldn't
that's
hear it.
fine. Yeah,
Turn
no.
up the radio a little bit more. And
So-
the car made it back. I just had the wheel off today, and it's the air strut. So the air strut got hit so hard by a pothole that it blew out the actual shock absorber portion
Oh
in
my
it.
God.
The bag is also destroyed now, but
Yeah.
not as bad. So
that's
it was holding
$1,700,
pressure.
so.
It's
not
It's
cheap.
not
It's not-
cheap.
it's not
It'll
cheap.
be fine.
It
but
could be worse.
this thing had 32,000 miles on it when I picked it up. It has 35K on it now.
You
That
monster.
shouldn't fail
No,
yet.
it should.
But it had
It's European.
it had a good reason to fail.
A, it's European.
It
B,
is
it's
German.
British.
Yep.
And B and C, it's also German.
That thing is 100% German.
But what
There's-
I'm saying is it's a British name. It's the German everything
Yep.
else. It's not really known for terrible reliability.
Cursed by
It's
name.
actually known for being pretty good.
I mean, you say, yeah, it's a German vehicle. Means it's
They are
complicated.
known for
It's
eating
an
ball
English
joints.
It's an English name, which means that it's not going to work quite well. So, yeah.
I will say that thing gobbles up miles like nothing I've ever driven. You look down, you
I
glance
think
at the trip odometer, and it's
Once
100
you
miles.
get this air strut sorted, we should go get some fish and chips.
Could do that. Their parking lot's a little on the small side for something the size of a small moon.
They
but
got
we might
street
be able to work.
parking.
I am not street parking that.
It's a Corvette and not
You
like
actually
you think.
could.
It's 7
think
inches longer than a Suburban too.
I think it would be not bad to street park.
I'm
because
not street
you
parking.
call the
just
owner
one second.
beforehand.
The reason I'm saying that is because nobody else is a possibility able to park near you because you'll take up the entire block.
That's never stopped anyone street parking in that neighborhood before.
You
No, I can
yeah,
call Catherine. She
yeah,
can
just
make
call
space.
Good.
I
Then
actually-
it's fine.
The owner's very nice and she understands British things. So I'm like,
Clear
yeah,
out a
happy.
good large 2 spots in front of your domicile. Thank you.
Yeah, they're actually. You need to make reservations, so their parking lot's usually pretty empty. So
Excellent. Then I'm down. We haven't been to Anchor in a long time.
it's quite good. And I'm done with getting it to go because every time that I
I've
get
never
to go,
done that.
well, because I've had to for 2020 for COVID.
Oh.
Every time I do it, they've managed to bung it somehow. Like they
But
forgot.
it's been so good inside.
I know, but they forgot my tartar sauce the first time. Then they forgot our gravy.
No, that
And then-
wasn't their
And,
fault.
and they forgot our.
Chow
One second.
Now
One second.
dropped
I'm-
the gravy order.
One second. I'm not done here. The gravy was missed, and then once because it was winter, they got it done way faster than they said they would, and I got it and it was ice cold. So it's nothing. It's not their fault. They
No.
weren't set up for that, but it's just it sucked every time I've gotten it. So it's my favorite fish and chips. I have not been able to
Yeah.
get my
It
like.
is so good.
I've
I
not
love
been able to
Anchor.
get good fish and chips for a long time, and I also think getting Anchor in a British car would be good.
I might have to get a shepherd's pie though if we go, because
Yes.
British car.
Yes, and
I'd feel a
you
little
need to
guilty
get
about doing
a
that, though.
like bulk amount of Grey Poupon.
The one jar is
No,
sufficient.
you're not.
You need
You
a
know, let
crate
me
and
finish. You
talk
need to go to
before.
like Costco and get a bulk amount, and then when you drive it home, because you're in a Rolls Royce, it's not like you don't have money. When panhandlers come to you, which they will, you roll down your window, you hand them the Grey Poupon, and you roll the window up, and they can't complain, because beggars can't be choosers.
But Corey's told me that.
You're also giving them a projectile to launch at your car. if
But
they're
you
not
have
pleased.
more. You literally have a case of projectiles.
coming from a man who has not paid to insure it.
Yes. Anyway, so on that bombshell, I think that was a good filler.
Well, you said we were gonna do.
Oh,
two.
we're gonna do one.
All right, fine. We'll
Bye.
catch you next week. Thank you.
Bye.